Police officers must be available, efficient, and ready to serve around the clock, every hour of every day. Police buildings need to provide the same level of availability, efficiency, and public service as well. With police personnel, equipment, and resources spread throughout Lawrence in various locations, information flow and response times to critical incidents are adversely affected. To address this, Police Chief Terry Khatib has made a new police facility a top priority.
People always ask me, what's your priority? And my response has always been, and people don't like this, well, they're all my priorities. It's if you have a car that has flat tires, a transmission that doesn't work, and a battery that's dead, you fix one, the car still doesn't move. So I think over the last 3 years, we've been successful at getting some additional people, some additional equipment, and really we need to get the facility done. If we don't build a facility, we're not going to be able to grow as a department.
The biggest thing that I can think of to try to explain what we face now as a police department is that if we were a restaurant and you had the pantry, the kitchen, and the dining room all in separate places, what would that do to your restaurant? You would require great labor costs to move that food from the pantry to the kitchen, and then more labor costs to move that food from the kitchen to the dining area. And even if you papered over it with labor costs, you would have things that you just never gain. That's what it is as a police department.
I am based out of the LEC. My traffic unit office, for instance, is at the ITC, and our vehicle is at the Stone Barn location.
And so I often, if we're coming out for a serious accident, we'll have to visit 3 different locations for equipment we need.
If we were all located in one place and had access to a central location, I think a lot of those efficiencies could be capitalized on.
Everything you need involving the police department would be in one place. You know, if you were trying to figure something out or get something accomplished, you wouldn't be going here and there and shuffled across town. Rather than someone have to go hunt around to make sure they have the right spot, it would all be there.
Right now I think we're wasting a lot of time and energy in inefficient buildings and wasting a lot of drive time back and forth, wasting a lot of missed opportunities in communication, solving crimes, going back and forth.
Lawrence is getting a lot bigger. We're getting more crimes. We need to be more efficient, and the way we're set up right now, we're not as efficient as we can be.
You have something that needs to go down to the law enforcement center, you have a reason to go and get in touch with somebody down there, maybe municipal court or something along those lines. Kind of look to see whether or not I have a minimum of an hour or just over that, because that's what it takes.
I go to pick up a cell phone that a patrol officer seized for an important case. I drive 20 minutes across town to seize that cell phone. I check it out of evidence, if they're there and if they're available for me to do that, and I drive it back. That's 40 minutes I've added to the time to process it. So I process that evidence in a place that isn't designed really to be secure evidence. And when I'm done, I drive 20 minutes back across town to drop it off. I sign it in and I drive 20 minutes back. We can't let other people do that because there's a chain of custody to evidence. When I go to court and I testify to things that you might think, well, couldn't somebody else bring that phone to me? They can't, because I can't put them in the chain of custody. That'll get them a subpoena. It has to be me. The efficient way to do it, the effective way to do it, is to have all those things under one roof so that I walk down the hallway to check out evidence. And when I'm done, I walk down the hallway to check it back in.
Overcrowding and lack of available space at the Judicial and Law Enforcement Center led the city to purchase office space in West Lawrence in 1999 for investigations, training, police administration, and community services. When the Downtown Law Enforcement Center was built and occupied in 1976, it became the hub for the Patrol Division. The department's Records Unit, Evidence, Information Technology, and Crime Analysis Unit are also located there. With these 2 locations, patrol officers and detectives missed the immediacy of quick access to each other.
Detective Bay used to be right outside the squad room, and if you were working a case or you had worked a case that you knew went to detectives and you thought you had something else, it was real easy to pop in. Hey, do you have any more information on that? Or I got something you might want to hear about.
So all of those interactions in passing about what occurred over the weekend or what occurred overnight, who's looking for who, I mean, that's how we solve crimes.
You don't have that immediate exchange of, oh, did he also have the tattoo? Oh, did it seem like he had, you know, a missing tooth here? Or what have you. The email exchange or text message exchange or all of that, that's so cumbersome, and Really, it's the face-to-face interaction.
How many cases are solved, for lack of a better term, over the water cooler, where we may overhear a conversation and realize that a person that we stopped on a routine traffic stop the day before may be the suspect in a burglary.
I think that's the biggest thing that we miss right now, is that interaction on a daily basis where we share information, because it only takes one little bit of piece of information to help solve a case.
It is not just citizens that end up confused and frustrated driving between the two office buildings for services and assistance. Police employees feel the same way.
For citizens, it certainly is confusing at times. We have people that show up at the ITC building wanting a copy of a police report, or they want to get fingerprints taken, and they don't really understand that certain services are only offered in certain locations. And it's really difficult to tell someone they need to jump back in their car, they need to drive 20 minutes to the east through traffic and seek their service at the other building.
You know, how many times do people go out west thinking they're going to be able to talk to a patrol officer, and they get there and there's not a patrol officer there because it's after 5 o'clock, and they have to get on the box and call somebody, and then a patrol officer has to come out there or meet them somewhere halfway. I mean, it's just one of those things where I think the community sometimes doesn't know where to go.
Public access and visibility are two important concepts in police building design. Equally important in the planning process is ensuring that the services that law enforcement provides are conveniently located and avoid unnecessary duplication. The two main locations now in use push the department's budget to the limit year after year. Basic equipment is redundant, and working and storage space for personnel is limited.
Some of the major issues we face are just redundancy and having to purchase extra equipment and then maintain that extra equipment because we have multiple sites. You have to have additional printers that can't be shared because they're across different buildings. You have to have additional servers, additional infrastructure to connect the buildings. Whereas if we were in one site, we wouldn't have to have all that extra equipment.
This building doesn't have a generator, so if we had a weather event and we were out, this building doesn't really become functional as a law enforcement center.
It's antiquated. We're bursting at the seams. There's no room, as far as being a sergeant, and I have an area for my workspace. If I want to, get out a project, my workspace is literally a cubicle, about maybe 2 foot by 3 foot. Would I like to have an area where I could do something and actually have an office and some space to do things? Absolutely, but we just don't have the space.
I'm just about ready to go over 130,000 items. My really only work area is that 4x6 table right there. So they're destroying items on the same table where I may be bringing items in, boxing them up to put them up on the shelf. You've got to understand, evidence is probably the most important part of the case, and you need to be able to preserve that for the court so they can see it as if it was just collected that day. And if you can't maintain that evidence, then there's a chance that there could be some issues in court. As far as we're concerned in evidence, we have put everything about where we can put things in this facility. We just physically cannot take anymore.
Again, it's back to the restaurant. We could build a restaurant in 3 separate places, but why not build one facility that puts all those things together and puts them together as efficiently as possible with all the knowledge that we've gained over the last several years?
Since 2010, leaders of the City of Lawrence and Police Department have been working with experts in the field of law enforcement building design to address all facilities' needs. The goal is to create a cost-effective and comprehensive police building that serves the needs of citizens and employees at a single location. A new building is a vital component in improving police service throughout our community.
When we're talking about a new building, it's just something that we need. It was something that would make us better at our jobs and help everyone, help make the community safer, and that's really what we're after.
What's in it for the community is hopefully a safer community. If you have a more effective, efficient, and productive police force, and we're getting more work and productivity out of the same group of people, I think ultimately we'll be able to impact the crime rate, we'll be able to impact livability, and we'll really have a more prepared police force, which is critical to safety.
If you have questions or comments about the facility needs assessment or the building process, log on to our website. Also, you may contact the Lawrence Police Department at our administrative phone number at 785-830-7400.